This is the one I was looking for. So this is Robert I was telling you about.
Yeah.
This is his own apartment, right?
Right.
I bought a brand new apartment, moved in, woke up one morning to water running, and I thought, oh, it's the neighbours washing down their balcony. This went on for some time until I noticed water seeping through our floorboards. The whole living room, dining area and kitchen had to be ripped up and replaced, and they had to move out of their new apartment for 3 months. And they'd only just moved into the property 3 weeks ago.
Now, was that their neighbour?
No, it was his.
It was his?
It was his, so I called him. Because I know him, right? So I called him, like, tell me more about it. So can you, because my brain exploded. So I'm like, I'm imagining that's what I would have done. Right? I would have done exactly that. I would have been laying in bed going, oh, geez, they're spending a lot of time washing down the balcony. It's a lot of time. And I probably would have waited to the point where until I stepped out of my bed, I could imagine my feet getting wet. So like I called him, I went through, he goes, yeah. He said it was his, it was the bathroom Flexihose had burst and absolutely everything was just trash.
But do you think of someone like me that's deaf and things like that you don't hear? You don't notice it, you don't hear it. You don't hear the water coming through.
That's a really valid point.
So if you think of some tenants that you've got, it's all right to say they could have heard it or this happened, that happened. What if they didn't hear it? What if they actually did not hear any water trickling? How much damage is done by then? It's not their fault. It is still accidental, but they didn't hear it.
Well, is it accidental though? Because if the property is being maintained...
Agreed. Yeah.
And I think that's why insurance companies don't cover the replacement of whatever the part is. They only cover the damage that it's caused because it has to be maintained.
So who would you say is more to blame, owners or tenants, in all of the Flexihoses that you dealt with, owners or tenants? Because it's a two-way thing.
No, I'd say owners.
You say definitely owner?
Yeah, I do. Because it's up to the owners to maintain their property.
True.
And to keep things in good working order. So therefore it's up to them to make sure it is in good working order.
Yep.
And if they're ignoring what their property managers are saying or just not looking themselves, if they're managing it.
That's true, not looking themselves, but who really does look at Flexihoses? I mean, I know we do it now, but if you think back to maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't do it. We didn't look.
No, and I didn't.
We just had a quick, there's no leaks. There's no leaks. We didn't look to see if there's any damage. There's no leaks.
There's no leaks.
That's what we put in all our inspection checklists. Is there any leaks you want us to look? No. Not, is there any damage? Is there anything you've looked at? We don't look at our Flexihoses. Nobody looks underneath to check, opens up covers, just to have a quick look under there to see if there's anything damaged. No.
No, because most people are too scared to open a cupboard.
True.
But I think it was the first time it ever happened to me, because I had a few, sadly, happen, and usually in apartments, that's when I started to go, all right, I need to start looking at these. I spoke to our plumber then and just went, all right, so what is it? How does it work? Tell me about it. And he sort of told me about the braiding bursting and what have you. And I was like, all right, well, how do I check for that?
Yeah.
So basically, if I hurt my hand running it down, I can see rust. But he didn't give me any really other information, so I just started reporting if there was rust spots and recommend somebody go and have a look. But you can recommend till the hills come home. If the owner doesn't want to do anything, then they're not going to do anything.
Because it is just a wiring on the outside, isn't it? It's whether the plastic in the inside is damaged.
That's it. So the plastic starts to swell and get like a bubble in it, which then affects how the braids come together on the hose.
Yeah.
And then that just goes, and once that starts to fray because it's been pushed out, then it can poke damage into the hole, into the rubber tube.
Now I understand. Because my knowledge of a Flexihose was just like it was a metal. There was nothing inside it. I didn't know that until
well, the thing is they've
2
changed
years
now.
back. Yeah,
they've changed now. So finally they've updated them, and we've now got a product that is got. It's actually The company that we get it from has their own insurance company covers the damage, but 15 years is the warranty, and that's parts and labour, and 15 years. So anything happens in your apartment that Flexihose bursts, as long as it was installed by a professional, then their own insurance covers the damage. So,
Oh wow, and 15 years. I thought it was only about 5 they covered you for, if that.
yeah, I think
If that.
depends on the brand. I think like between 2 and 5,
Okay.
and they only have a lifespan of like between 5 and 7, I think, years. The normal old ones, and that's what all the old properties were built with. So if you look at all the houses that were built, any time from 2000-ish onwards, if they haven't had their flexi hoses replaced, they're about to burst.
Oh wow. And who's all checking them? Probably hardly any property managers really check. We haven't put it on your list as a. And now I know that if I went back to where I worked, nobody's still checking.
The thing is, it's not a property manager's job really to check, because they're not plumbers, just like they're not electricians, just like they're not carpenters. It's like all you can do is make a visual inspection and go.
Shouldn't there be something
implemented
implemented to change that though, where it is a check?
Look, I'd like to see anybody that ever used to work with me or that I would train, I would show them, and I would tell them why, but I also taught them how to check the grout, you know. So that's
Where
just,
do you stop?
and that's it. Where do you stop? I had an advantage. I had an advantage that most people didn't have, but my thing is that if I don't share that with the other property managers, then you know, I'm not doing the right thing by anyone.
Yeah. And a lot of the older properties don't even have them. So.
No. So what they've got, a lot of the older ones will still have the copper pipe, but the copper pipe has all the tiny little pinholes in it that then leaks into the wall.
Okay.
So where do you draw
Which
the
one's
line?
one? Yeah.
And copper's so expensive and getting stolen out of houses.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh yes. That's true as well. Property in Valjura. In fact, I remember it was iCheckIt that was there. They were doing a whole plumbing of all the copper piping for hot water system, and the old copper was left outside and it was stolen overnight.
It doesn't surprise me at all. We had 2 properties where brand new builds, gone, just all gone from site, and they had to go back and replace it. And that was like, I think, like the tenants were had just moved in or something. I don't know. It wasn't my property, but it was 2 out managed by another PM in our office, and they stole it all from one property. Then they went next door the next day and stole the next lot. So it's like twice we had to go out.
Makes you think, do they actually go around stalking plumbers in what they're doing?
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me. We've had a guy drive past like our workshop and come in and ask to buy like all of our scrap because he's seen it like in the trailer sort of piled up. Like, nuts what people would do.